Is it game over for Game? So let's talk a bit about Game. Now, Game was the first major retailer in my town where you could actually buy games and a lot of game-related stuff, because before then, there wasn't actually a wide selection of shops that actually covered games. This is going back to the 90s and early 2000s, where if you wanted to buy a game, you either had to go to Asda, Tesco's, or you'd had to go to somewhere like Woolworths or Argos. There wasn't really a wide selection of places to buy games, and if you could buy games or consoles, they were very limited and they didn't really do many bundles. Whereas when Game came to my town, there was actually quite a large selection of games to pick from, and they had some quite good deals as well. And I remember when it first came to my town, it was sort of early 2000s. My sister took me, and it was jam-packed. There was so many people. It was so busy. I've only ever seen it busy like that a few times, mainly during launch times of games, but it was just really busy, and I stood in the queue for ages and bought a game, and I actually signed up to a loyalty scheme, which was the loyalty card, which I have here. So I've still got the original card, which I think is like 16, 17 years old. I've got a replacement card because I lost that one. I actually had two, but I lost the other one, I think, or I gave it to my sister to use. But anyway, I've had that card for a long time, and it was amazing, and I could not recommend it anymore. But this was sort of before online shopping became what it was today. You can understand why a lot of things have changed. Now, I was a big fan of Game when I was younger because I could just go in there, and if I was looking for something in particular, I could probably most likely find it there than anywhere else. Now, I'm going to bring up one thing though to do with Game just before I start talking about the trade-ins, is the fact that when just before COVID, I have done my fair share of trade-ins, but I can't remember being told this at all, that when I traded in some games just before COVID, I got my gift card, and it's got like a certain time period on, which I didn't really know, because whenever I used to trade in games when I was younger, I'd normally get a new game within less than a month anyway. But I looked on the back of the card and it says it's only valid for 24 months, which obviously is a bit longer than that now, because I think it was like 2019, 2020, I think I used it, so we're almost 4 years later, so it's definitely probably not valid. So I've lost about £20. It's a bit of a pain in the arse, I must say, but it's my own fault really for not really reading it. I'm pretty sure the guy behind the till didn't tell me this, but I think I would remember something like this. But I mean, it is what it is. But that is annoying. I'm not a big fan of gift cards in general, if I'm being honest. I'm sure most people watching this probably might feel the same. To me personally, I don't think Game is going to be around in the next 2 to 3 years, because they have now ended up in most cases in Sports Directs in like a small area, whereas they used to have high street stores. So this isn't like the first time they've been in hot water, but I think their business model was a bit outdated, as well as the practices in general aren't particularly that good. They haven't really adapted to the new market that is now, like online. They just haven't really adapted well. It's kind of like, I would compare this to Blockbuster and Netflix sort of thing. I think Game could still survive, but they have to dramatically change their business model, in my personal opinion. But this isn't the first time they've been somewhat on hot water, right? Because many years ago, I think it was around 2011, they were going into administration, and I had over £150 worth of points that I collected by buying stuff, and I was so scared of losing that money, because I didn't want to lose that money. I wanted to buy a PlayStation 4 when it came out in like 2 years time. I wanted to turn up to Game with my Game card and say I want that bundle there, that PlayStation 4 bundle, put my card down, and it cost me 0 pence, and they say at the very end, oh, the balance is 0p, no, whatever. It would have been a kind of a cool thing. If I was doing YouTube back then, that would have made a good YouTube video, in my opinion. Guy goes into a game store and gets a PlayStation for free, sort of. I don't know. That might be misleading. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so 2011, they were going to go bust, and I had £150 worth of points. I spoke to a guy on my college course who worked there, and I said to him, hey, like, you know, what do you think about this sort of situation? Like he would really know anyway, but I thought I'd get his opinion. He was quite a big gamer. He didn't really know, and he said, yeah, you should probably do it just in case. So I said to him, I've got £150 worth of points. He laughed at me and said, oh, I don't think you have got that. I turned up there, showed him a card, and he does like a little swipe thing, and it turns out that I have. So we discussed, I said to him, like, what do you think is the best thing to buy in the shop so I can get my money, the best value for my money? I was thinking about buying like an Xbox 360, because I could almost get one, I think, at the price. I'm not sure. But at the time I thought, well, I need something that I'm going to at least get most of my money back. He suggested getting PlayStation credits, so I bought £150 worth of points so that I could basically sell it for more or less what I paid for it. So of course you can't go on eBay and stuff, because that's what you used to sell on back then. You couldn't sell like £150 worth of like vouchers for £150, so I sold them I think for 120, I think, in total. So that wasn't too bad. I think I did multiple different auctions though, just to spread it out a little bit. I sold that and I got my £120, so I was quite happy with that. PlayStation 4 for like, you know, free essentially, so it's a bit annoying. So why is Game game getting rid of trade-ins? Well, I think there are a lot of different reasons why they might be getting rid of the trade-ins, and I'm just going to list a few of them right now. So digital gaming has taken off quite a lot in the last 10 years. When it first started, it used to be a lot cheaper to buy games online. It used to be like a small discount, nothing particularly that big. For example, it would be something like, let's say the game brand new digitally would be, say, I don't know, 35, but the game, if you brought it in store, was 40, so you'd think, well, £5, it's not too bad. One of the best bonuses of digital games, in my personal opinion, was the fact that you can download a game 2 days before it comes out and then play it exactly at midnight, which is amazing, and it is a great thing to do, especially if you don't have a particularly good internet connection. That is good that you can actually download it beforehand. But the problem is with owning digital stuff, in my personal opinion, it's risky. For example, eventually you could lose the ability to download the DLC if you've bought it. Same as the game. Like, things change, so you never really necessarily own it if you own it digitally. I think kind of like if they was to shut down the servers, which does sometimes happen with some things, that you don't really have access to it. So it kind of sucks in that sense. Plus, I think with PlayStation and Xbox, from my understanding, is that if they ban your account and the games, you can't access the games or something like that. I think that's what I read recently. So that kind of sucks. So say if you bought a game every month and then had an account for like 5 years and they ban your account, then you lose your account. Like, the only thing digitally which was really good in my opinion was back in the day with Xbox, where you had games for gold, where if you didn't have you didn't have gold, you could actually play the games. But I think they've changed that recently in the last year. I haven't had an Xbox for like 5 years. I might get one at some point, but that used to be a really good thing to have. Like, the idea you could play it without having a premium account, which sadly you do with PlayStation. But the whole digital age has completely changed. Like, we can now get consoles where you can actually, download the games straight to it, and you don't need a drive, which is great. So a lot of people tend to opt for that because it's just easy. But me personally, I've never been a big fan because it is more expensive. Because if you buy a game for, say, £50-60, which on average it is, you can get that game pre-owned in most cases probably like a year or two later for a lot less. Prices do come down on certain games. Like, I remember when there was a game, I can't remember what it was called now, Dead something. I've got a copy here which I will point out later. It's Dead Shoot or something like that, I'm not sure. Anyway, when that came out, I think it was like £40, and then because the game was really bad, after about, I think, like a couple months, it got down to £30. Like, now you can pick up for like less than 20, and some places are giving it away because it's that bad. I think it's Deadshot, I'll have to look it up. Anyway, digital games basically cause a lot of people to obviously download games instead of going to the shop, so obviously you have less traffic going to the shop. So digital games is one of the main reasons why, well, one of the reasons why you don't really particularly get a lot of people going to game right now. So people won't particularly necessarily go there and trade in their games. But buying physically was always better in my opinion, because you used to go to the launch parties, which I don't think would really do anything. I think they'll do it with GTA because it's such a big game, but people would queue up for ages and stuff. When I went to Black Ops 1 launch party a game, there was loads of people. They were so busy, they had raffle tickets, and people were actually selling the raffle tickets to actually jump the queue, which is hilarious. People were paying like 20 quid to like jump the queue so they could get home and play it. So I remember rushing home. I'm not sure how old I was when Black Ops 1 came out, but I went on it straight away and I fell instantly in love. I am a big Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 fan, but it was the interaction and stuff like that, and that's what I really enjoyed, and that's why I do really enjoy the fact that once you complete the game like I did, and I played it online and rinsed it, and the next one came out, I could sell it, as a pre-owned game, and at least get some of the money back that I actually spent on it. Okay, the second reason why that trading is most likely stopping with game. Now, this one is because of how online has changed dramatically with shipping and retailers and stuff like that. For example, in the early 2000s, apps and things, smartphones, obviously they weren't about, and people had to go to physical stores and stuff, whereas the need now to go to physical stores isn't needed as much. For example, game could potentially just run completely online by now, like musicmagpie.com. You can just scan everything and then just send it somewhere, and they'll give you whatever it is for the trade-in. They'll test it, see if it works, whereas going to a store and doing this is somewhat unneeded, and plus you have to pay obviously your staff. But obviously now with online stores being what they are, you can order stuff and get it delivered on the actual day itself, or you can get it sometimes next day delivery, almost guaranteed. Same with Amazon now, you can pretty much buy anything up to I think about like 11:30 at night and still get it delivered the next day, which is really impressive. Technology has changed so dramatically, so has our shopping habits. So this actually really affects any physical store at all really when buying things, because now you can just do it all online. Like I say, you can just go on your app, order food, you can do anything, so there's no real need for the physical stores, and it's just more convenient for people to do it. So you don't really get people going in the shops as much. Like last couple of years before my game store, closed and then moved, because it's now moved into a Sports Direct, you'd go in there during the day and it'd be a ghost town. There used to be 4 or 5 staff members, and it used to be always busy, especially around Christmas, but there was almost little to no people in the shop. You'd be lucky to find 3 or 4 people in the shop any given time, but it was pretty much a ghost town. But online has dramatically affected pretty much all aspects of gaming. Like I said before, this also goes hand in hand with digital as well, because obviously people get stuff digital and you can't necessarily buy digital games actually in the game shops itself. Now, the third thing which I will bring up that I think would affect game in general with regards to the trade-ins and why they're not actually doing this is the streaming service platform. Now, stream gaming is a thing, but it isn't as popular yet as it could potentially be. In the future, probably in the next 10 years or less, we will have more virtual consoles where you can just do a subscription fee, sort of like a Netflix thing in my personal opinion, where the console you won't have it, you'll just stream and the console will be somewhere, sort of like how the PlayStation is now, because I had PlayStation Plus Premium, and in order to play on the PS5 to play PS3 games, you have to stream them across to PlayStation 5, which is a bit annoying because PlayStation 5 should have had backwards compatibility in my personal opinion. I think the PlayStation 6 might actually have this though, backwards compatibility. I think like if the PlayStation 6 actually allows to play PS1 games, PS2 games, PS3 games, PS4 games and PS5 games, it would be the best console ever in my opinion. Could happen, might not happen, should happen. Everybody in the comments section, what do you think? Wouldn't that just be super awesome? I think that would be my favorite console of all time. If that is possible, I would love it. Of course, you could emulate it on your PC, but anyway, let's get back to it. So streaming games, we had that Stadia thing, which didn't really take off, but wasn't particularly that popular, but it is becoming sort of a thing where you can stream games across, like cloud gaming and stuff. Like you can still do it now on the PlayStation with modern games, like on my PlayStation Plus Premium when I had it, you could stream, I'm not sure PS5 games, but PS4 games you definitely could stream instead of downloading them, which, I mean, if it's better, I don't know, it all depends on your internet connection. It can't really be done very well when you're streaming though, because I streamed Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas on the PlayStation, and when you're streaming you use a lot of bandwidth, and same when you're playing a game, so it doesn't really work out very well. So I would still go with the physical media in my personal opinion, but obviously if you've got like you know, you don't have a disc drive console, that digital still is quite good. And cloud gaming still isn't really big as it could potentially be. Like I say, in 5-10 years, I generally think there will be the equivalent of a Netflix system, which there sort of is now, but it's not quite there yet with gaming, because you've got the Game Pass, but it's getting there, but it's just not as popular. The internet speeds are getting better and stuff like that. But that is one of the main reasons that I would say, in general, could potentially have been one of the reasons why the trade-ins aren't, you know, being used as much. So another reason is the running costs. Now, obviously, having any building or business, it's going to cost money. You've got to pay the staff, the heating, the electricity, you know, your business rates, the rent itself is a lot of money. Like in my town, for example, renting out even a small area costs a damn fortune. I don't know how anyone really affords that. I mean, that's why my town is now overrun by coffee shops. I think we've got like 15 to 20 coffee shops. We didn't have 10 15 coffee shops 10 years ago, but they seem to be the only thing that seems to make any money these days, whereas the game shop should have got the most business in my local town, but for some reason with the online retailers and everything else, like I said, it's got a lot less business, and probably the profit margins are very small in my personal opinion. So when you have to pay your staff and stuff like that, even if you pay them the minimum wage, it all adds up, and it's just too costly in my opinion. Now, the last reason comes down to the pre-owned market. Now, game really fell on its face because it didn't really have a wide selection of pre-owned games, right? Because the competitor has like PS1 games, PS2 games on the old consoles, and I kind of feel like this market is still very trendy. Like, people go into shops and still buy PS1 games if they're available on PS2 games and vice versa. Because, I mean, if you want to buy like a second-hand PlayStation 2 or something like that, you'd have to go through various sellers, whereas if a shop sells it, you probably would buy it from a shop anyway. Some of these shops also offer guarantees as well, so you know, that's a big market they kind of missed out on. But me personally, I've never been a big fan necessarily of trading in anyway, because I remember when one of the GTAs came out many years ago, and I think it was brand new, it was £40 from game. On the other side of the leaflet, it said that you could trade it in for like £25 to £28. So then they'd sell it for pre-owned for like 35 or 36. So the markup was quite good. So it's a good markup, and people would buy it, because if you go into a game shop with the intention of buying a game and you see it like £5 cheaper than what it is brand new, you know, and it's not got any codes or anything like that, then you'd probably buy it, wouldn't you? So a lot of people did buy it. So they probably made, I would argue, the most money that game ever made probably was from pre-owned games, in my personal opinion. but a lot of people did go in there. Plus, you had like the 3 for 2 or 2 for 1, you know, sort of deals as well. And then sometimes you'd have the occasional bargain bucket sort of thing where you could get some stuff really knocked off. So I remember once seeing like a Xbox 360 game or something for like 99p. It was like one of the old FIFAs, and it was only like 2 or 3 years old. But I mean, £1 for a video game is pretty damn cheap in my opinion. But it's kind of crazy. So really, what this comes down to, like I said before, with game in general, was the fact that I don't think they adapted very well with the pre-owned market. I think really if they added more stuff, they could potentially save the business. It's not completely gone though. Like I said earlier in the video, probably 3 years or less it will be gone, because now it's in like Sports Directs and stuff like that. It's on its way out. Even places like Asda and stuff like that, they don't really have DVD sections as much anymore. It's mainly just video games, but even then it's really small, because there used to be like a big section of things. There used to be like nearly a whole aisle dedicated to video games and DVDs, but people just don't buy them much anymore, you know. It's kind of a shame really that it's got to this point, but I think it was always going to happen with games they didn't really adapt. But the pre-owned market, people don't really necessarily want to spend that, especially with the cost of living at the moment. You know, if you can buy a game secondhand for say £25, but buy it for £30 to £35 from game, you probably would just buy it for the £25 somewhere else, you know. And it's really competitive, and it's a shame because if game does go under, it's going to be a sad day for the gaming industry, because there's not many other high streeters that specialise in games. Now, I'm going to have a go at doing this. Now, I'm going to compare the prices of game to eBay. So I've got a copy here of Deathloop here. It is brand new sealed. I've had it for about 2 years, but I just never got around to playing it. So all I have to do is scan it. It'll tell me how much I can trade it in for. So I can trade it in for, it says there, £2.10. I'm not sure if it's focusing enough. So that's £2.10 you can get it for at game if you trade it in. So to buy it on eBay, you can get it for the cheapest, about $11.50, which is quite expensive actually. This is for 2 for 30. You can get on here, and to buy it at game, let's have a look. I actually see on here. Once I accept these cookies, pre-owned. There we go. Pre-owned. Oh wait, pre-owned. Yeah. Pre-owned is $9.99, so that would be quite a big markup from that really. So it's basically almost £10, and it's nearly £2. That's £8 markup just on that game alone if you was to trade it in, which I mean, it's not bad markup, like I said. So let's try a different game to prove a point. I have a sealed version of Titanfall 2, which I've had even longer than that. I imagine this is £1 trade-in. Right, so that's £1 trade-in. Let's see what it is on here. So this will be interesting to see. Titanfall 2. Oh, they don't actually have it, I don't think. No, it's not even on there. They don't have it, so we can't even find out, but you can trade it in. That's a bit unexpected. Okay, well on eBay, let's see what they would offer on that then. eBay Titanfall. I never got around to actually playing this, so Titanfall 2. I haven't really spaced out. It doesn't matter. Brand new we want on here. Let's have a look. New lowest. I'll be shocked actually if this was a good price. Yeah, so they would offer me £1. On eBay you can sell it for £7. I mean, that's a good markup just there. Let's find something a bit more recent. Now let's see how much a Modern Warfare 2 disc is, right? So I'm just quickly checking on eBay first. So £16-17. Let's say less than £20 is pretty much what you can get it for on eBay. 15, let's say 18. 18 is a reasonable price. So if we look on pre-owned, we are looking at £23. So let's see what they offer me this copy of Modern Warfare 2. I reckon £12 I'm going to go for. So if we look on here, it is going to be £12. So for example, this shows you the pre-owned markup. So this is £12 for this copy, and they sell it for 22 $2.99, but it is on special if you buy two for £30. So, you know, that's over a £10 markup. So you can understand how the pre-owned market works, and they can make quite a considerable amount of money doing this. This is quite a good thing, though, if you had a lot of games and you didn't really care about selling it for. But I say on eBay, you can get it for like a £5 difference. It really depends on whether or not you want to go on eBay and sell it for like £5 more. But I mean, if you was to go into a shop and trade it in, you didn't really care too much, it's not too bad, but it adds up, because if you, for every game you lost £5, like you buy a new game after about 4 or 5 games. I've got a copy of Uncharted 4 in my hand. I'm just checking the prices now. So we have an Uncharted 4 here. This Uncharted 4, if you buy it pre-owned, is it's all the same, £7.99, and if I was trading in, I can get £2.50. Here's the conclusion, right, of this, and this is my general opinion, is that they shouldn't have got rid of pre-owned stuff, because the pre-owned market is really big. If they're making on average between, say, £3 to £10 per game, that is a lot of money. After I've just checked a couple of these games, that's a crazy amount of money they could potentially be getting from actually selling these pre-owned games. But the worst thing about this is they didn't diversify and start selling the older games, consoles or games. Now, obviously they might not necessarily have the space in every store to do this, but, I mean, if you could start selling PS1 games and PS1 consoles and PS2 consoles and PS3 consoles and so forth, I think there would be a market for that. Now, if I went into a game shop and let's say hypothetically that they had a PlayStation 3 with 5 games for £100 and it had been reconditioned, the console, so it had like a year's guarantee as well, I would probably buy it. And if you could get it on eBay for the same price, but maybe uncertified for say 70, I would still buy it for £100 at the game shop, because it would be a good deal in my opinion. Now, would people start doing that if they started selling these things? Yes, they would. I think it's not over yet. They can still do this. They just need to change and adapt, which they haven't done. I don't know what's really going on right now with this whole situation with the trade-ins, though, because it's just a really stupid business decision. So I don't know who the head is of the department, but this is going to be by far one of the worst decisions they did. Like I said before, I reckon they will personally be closed in the next 2 to 3 years, and the competition's going to pretty much own the monopoly, in my personal opinion. But what are people's thoughts on this? Put it in the comments section. Do you think I'm right with a lot of these points, or do you feel I'm way off, or are you upset that game is now basically going to not be anymore? It's not going to be a thing in the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, in 3 years' time, if I look back at this video and they're not under, I'll be very upset, because I like to think I'm correct here. But what are people's thoughts on this?